what's interesting is that the Vietnam War was still going on. And in that spring of 1975, and people were clinging to helicopters from the embassy. And President Ford was asking for more money for the war. A little more money might help, and we actually voted it down. I don't think it would have made any difference in that war, but it's interesting that I was there long enough to be voting on the Vietnam War and aid to Cambodia. But the big issue that I dealt with was autos. Autos were in a, does that sound familiar? Autos were in a funk. There was a downturn after the Arab oil embargo of 1973, and we were able to get an auto task force appointed, and I worked on that on my banking committee. And we were worried about the health of the autos. At that time, we were worried about American Motors. Eventually, it became Chrysler several years later. But in between that time, the major issue I worked on the banking committee was the New York City rescue. And that was a huge, huge battle in Congress. And Congress, enacted a loan guarantee for New York, but it was very unpopular. I mean, it was a case of the Congress did the right thing, but it was unpopular. And I just don't know whether those kind of things can be done today. New York was faced with default, bankruptcy. And the critics said, let them go. They're worthless. They've lived their lives the wrong way. Who cares about New York? On and on and on and on. It was the jokes and the animosity was pretty incredible. But we helped with the loan guarantee. New York restructured itself. And of course, this very day, it's thriving. For me, working on it I really learned a lot from the members of Congress I work with, from the witnesses, the economists, the financial people. I learned a great deal. And it gave me a roadmap when, as luck would have it, Chrysler ran into trouble 4 years later, in 1979. So I ended up playing in the House the key role in Chrysler, in the Chrysler Rescue Loan Guarantee. And that probably wouldn't have happened but for the fact that I was the only Michigan member of the banking committee, House Banking Committee. And I had sat through every hearing, every meeting, every negotiation on the New York City rescue. So I had a roadmap. And then I had the whole banking staff that was seasoned veterans helping me. And then eventually I had really the anointment of Tip O'Neill. And I kept thinking at some point they'll take the legislation away from me and let someone with more experience handle it. And Tip said, no, let Jimmy Boy handle it. And of course, he backed me up, and having his support was very, very substantial. And having people like John Dingell as advisors was extremely helpful as well. So that's what, to my colleagues, distinguished me, and that's what gave me the thought that if I ever wanted to do something else in politics, I would have to go home and be governor in our state, with our state flat on its back. And we'd worked well with labor and business, and I thought we could get some coalitions going to help Michigan. And so that kind of led to that.